feeling kind of ungrateful. I'm thinking he ought to give me the bed, and he should be sleeping on the floor. I'm the new guy, you know. But it didn't work like that.
Yeah.
By the end of the month, I had an apartment down the hall by myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I got on welfare or whatever, and got some money, food stamps.
Right.
And I had this apartment down the hall, and by the end of the month, I had 2 new guys living with me, sleeping on my floor.
Oh, okay.
So it kind of...
So you're the top dog.
I'm the top dog. But somewhere along the line, I thought I was too young to be an alcoholic.
Right.
You know what I mean? I heard all these things. I was going to meetings. There was a lot of young people in AA then in Williamsport, but I thought, this isn't for me. I think I can drink again. I started thinking about drinking. And I got on a bus. I had a sponsor, AA sponsor, a young guy named Tony.
Yeah.
And we went and we called my mom one night. I was sober. I was there about a month before I left. And the first 2 weeks there, I call her. And I was just so glad to not be drinking and drugging anymore and to be clear behind it. And I remember calling my mom and I'm telling her I'm sober and this, and she must have been ecstatic, you know, because I always thought she liked to stay up late at night because I would come by the house at 2, 3 in the morning. She'd be walking back and forth in the living room. I just thought she had insomnia, couldn't sleep. I never realized she was waiting for me to come home or if I was going to come home.
Okay.
You know, 15, 16 years old. But I call her and I tell her, you know, I'm sober. And she's just, what can I do for you? And, you know, can I send you money? And my sponsor's on the other on the other line of the phone, shake his head. Oh, no, you don't need any money. Do you need this? No, he's telling you. So I had like my first AA resentment, you know, against this guy.
Right.
You know, I wanted whatever I could get.
Yeah.
Between there and then, I end up drunk. End up getting on a bus out of Williamsport, Pennsylvania.
Right.
And the bus headed down the road, and we switched over in Hazleton, Pennsylvania. And
where are you going? Back to Ambler?
I'm going back to Ambler. I'm going to go home. Now, I don't know if I'm going to drink or what I'm going to do, but I'm just tired of being there.
Right.
And I got my little fold-up suitcase, and I got my AA coin in my pocket, and I got some AA literature. And
how long were you sober?
100-some days. Probably the longest I'd ever been sober since the age of 11, 12 years old.
Okay.
100-some days without a drink or a drug.
Right.
And the bus switched there, and I'm going to go take it back a little bit. This is when a cup of coffee was 10 cents.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. A cup of coffee was 10 cents. So I drank a cup of coffee in this little diner where the bus stop was at.
Right. Gallon of gas was like 55 cents.
Yeah. But I go to the phone. I'm going to call somebody. I'm going to call for help. So I dial the phone. It's an old dial receiver.
Right.
And just as it gets to the last number, I hang the phone up. I can't make the call.
No.
And I was going to ask for help. Like, I don't know what to do here. I'm stuck.
Yeah.
And I got on the bus, and no sooner the bus pulled out, guy behind me says, "You want a drink?" Now,
an answer to prayer.
Oh,
so I turn around. This guy's got a quart of King's Port, or I don't know what the heck it was.
Oh, good stuff.
So I go and I sit next to this guy, and I'm sitting there, and he hands me the bottle. I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking, you know, I haven't had a drink in 100-some days, and I'm heading home. And
all right.
And I looked at the guy, and I said, "I don't know if I should drink this." I said, "I just got out of a drug rehab." He goes, "So did I."
Oh, yeah?
So, you know.
Oh,
man. So I made a friend right away. Well, you know, I really believe this guy, he was in a mental institution. He wasn't in a rehab. Because he knew nothing.
What a great friend. That is great.
I'm telling you, you know, God really has a sense of humor, doesn't he? So I'm sitting there next to this guy, and he knows nothing about the 12 steps or anything about AA.
Right.
So we're talking, and we haven't opened the wine, so I cracked the wine. I'm smelling it. Next thing I take a sip, and then I'm off to the races. I'm drinking a bottle of wine. I'm talking to this guy, and he's telling me, he said, you know, I drink a lot too. I said, well, what kind of drinking you do? He goes, well, you know, sometimes I drink so much I don't remember what I did. And I said, oh, that's an alcoholic blackout. You know, I knew I had all the lingo down. So I open up the suitcase. I'm giving this guy some literature on the bus.
Oh, yeah?
Right? And he
While
says,
you're drinking the wine.
Oh, yeah, I'm drinking his wine. He's on a roll. This guy couldn't shut up. You know, I was glad. I was drinking the wine.
Yeah, irony.
So he says, he goes on and on. Then he says, you know, one night I drank 3 beers and I got really drunk. And I said, well, that's increase and decrease in tolerance.
Yeah, you had a down pat.
Oh, yeah. You know,
had a cold.
I'm like the therapist. I'm 12-stepping this guy. Well, we end up getting off in Center City. I drank the whole 5th of wine or whatever we had.
He didn't have any of it.
He didn't drink any of it. The only thing I didn't give him was my AA coin in my pocket. So I get off the train, this guy, off the bus, and the guy's helped me get off the bus because I'm a little woozy by now.
So he's going to an AA meeting?
Oh, yeah. He slapped me on the back. He goes, "Thank you, brother. I'm going to go to AA. You saved my life." And that, like...
And you're drunk.
So this is
you saved his life by drinking the whole bottle.
Oh, yeah. And I'm going to wait to find this guy somewhere someday. You know, I said somewhere down Philadelphia, this guy's telling a story about this drunk guy on the bus who 12-stepped him with a bottle, drank his bottle of wine.
5 minutes to break.
So I get off this bus.
Right.
I end up in Ambler.
Okay.
Back home. From, I think that was like April 10th to April 21st.
1975?
1976.
6, okay.
The next 11 days are the most intense drinking of my life. I'm not going to get into all the details of fishing for ducks or any of those kind of stories you want to hear about.
I remember that, yeah.
But it was just the worst drinking for the next 11 days that I had experienced, because now I had a head full of AA knowledge.
Right.
And I had a belly full of booze. And every day I'd tell myself, I'm going to go to an AA meeting tomorrow night. And by noontime, I was drunk every day.
Right, yeah.
I just couldn't. I thought that this thing, alcoholism, I had some willpower over this. Once I put a drink in me, I didn't realize that, this physical compulsion kicked over, and I had no choice whether to drink or not. I couldn't stop.
Right, yeah.
So once this thing kicked over, I was fighting, trying not to drink, and I just couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
I was just drunk every day.
Where were you staying?
I stayed at I was homeless. I was living the first night home.
Mm-hmm.
I get home off the train and I call my mother. And I remember walking in the house, and I have a 6-year-old brother who's 11 years younger than me.
Right.
He was 6 years old at the time. And
Billy.
Billy. And I walk in the house, and there's a girl there babysitting. My mother's a nighttime waitress. She's out at the bar till 2, 3 in the morning waitressing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the girl goes, "Who are you?" I said, "I'm Pat Gillen. I live here." She goes, "I never saw you before." So she calls my mother. My mother gets me on the phone, and she says, "You've been drinking?" I just, I guess I'm half bombed. I said, "No, I haven't been drinking." She said, "You sound like you're drunk." I said, "No, I'm not drunk." She says, "I think you are." She said, "And don't be in my house when I get home. I don't want you there."
Oh, man.
So I was homeless.
Yeah.
I was sleeping in an abandoned car that was parked out a block away from my house, a station wagon.
Mm-hmm.
I was sleeping down my buddy's basement. I ended up at my sister's house,
Oh, yeah.
coming out of a blackout after fishing for ducks all night long. And it's funny, I was in a car accident the night I was fishing for. I was in a car accident coming from a party. We were going. It was open trout season, which we just experienced last week,
Right.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We're heading to go fishing at this reservoir. We get in an accident, and the guy driving, he's taken away in an ambulance. Somebody else was taken away. I ended up with these 2 guys in Philly I never met before. They were at this party, and we're going fishing with.
Right.
So we have tackle boxes and fishing rods, and you can't fish for fish until 8 in the morning because that's illegal.
Mm-hmm.
So we decided to fish for ducks.
Right. That's not illegal.
No, that's not illegal. So we put bread on these hooks, and we were fishing for these ducks, and they'd get on the hook, and you were reeling them in the air. They were flying in the air. Now, I have a couple friends that are animal lovers. I'm sorry if this offends you.
Mm-hmm.
But we were fishing for these ducks. And
Oh, man.
from there, I end up coming out of a blackout
Right.
in my sister's house in her kitchen.
Okay.
And she said, "You can stay here, but you can't drink anymore." And for the next day, I tried not to drink, and I was sick. I had the shakes, and I needed a drink. And the next night, I went from Glenside to Ambler,
Mm-hmm.
and I met my friend Eddie. And I wasn't going to drink. I was standing on the corner, no intention of drinking. Out steps from the bar, my brother. Now, I didn't tell you the story. When we were at my sister's house, my brother was there, and he was a heroin addict at the
Mm-hmm.
time. And we got into an argument about, "You're a dirty alcoholic. No, you're a scummy drug addict. I can stop drinking anytime. I can stop shooting dope."
The pot calling the kettle black.
He wasn't going to shoot dope, and I'm done drinking. We made his pact.
Right.
Well, he steps out of the Wyndham Hotel, and I looked in his eyes, and I could tell
You were
he was-
across the street, right?
I could tell he was shooting dope from
Right.
across the street. He got in the car. We said no words, and he drove away.
He was all glaze-eyed.
I turned to my buddy Eddie, said, "Where can we get a drink?" You know, I
Right.
felt like our pact was broke or whatever.
Right.
I was an alcoholic looking for a drink.
Well, look, we're going to come back to the Wyndham Hotel in just a minute. We're going to take a quick break here. I want to remind everybody that you can go to the donate page. Steve, you want to tell everybody about that for a minute?
Well, the donate page is right there on the North Star Radio website, and if you click it, it will take you to a PayPal site. If you are a member of PayPal, then you can quite easily donate. If you're not a member, it costs you nothing to sign up, and you can use your credit, your debit card, or you can even make a donation from your bank account. It is totally secure. You don't have anything to worry about. I've used PayPal for years and years. I've never had a problem, never had an issue. The beauty of this is that North Star Radio is strictly a free broadcast. There is no commercial breaks in the programming.
Mm-hmm.
There are no subscriptions.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing that anyone has to pay. It all comes as a labor of love from our producer and the owner of North Star Radio, Daniel Davidson.
Yeah, hey, Daniel.
And the beauty is that you can make a donation, and 100% of what you donate goes toward the operating expenses of North Star Radio. Now, there are a variety of operating expenses, from internet expenses to computer expenses to other equipment and upgrades that come along. And this is a great radio station. If you're listening to us now, you know that already. There is great music programming throughout the day, and it's nice to be able to listen and not have to be interrupted by all these commercials.
And disc jockeys with their annoying voices.
That's exactly right.
Like mine.
And that's exactly right. I was thinking that exactly. And the beauty of this is that North Star Radio, all of the original programming, all of the music that you hear comes to you free of charge. So if you can donate, and we're not talking about hundreds of dollars. If you make a $20 donation, truthfully, if 10 or 20 of you make a $20 donation, that makes a dramatic impact on North Star Radio.
It sure does.
So help us out by just making a small donation. The price of a pizza each month keeps North Star on the air.
Exactly.
So just help us out and make a donation, and do it right now. Even while you're listening, you can go back to the website, you can go to PayPal, and that donation will go a long way to keeping this station on the air.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate that. Yeah, we got 220 people listening in right now in North Star. And, of course, when we last left off, Pat, you were describing to us how you'd gotten out of rehab, ended up 12-stepping a guy, him marching out to an AA meeting, you getting blasted, getting thrown out of your mom's house, and nowhere to go. You made an argument pact with your brother. You were fishing for ducks. How many ducks did you get, by the way?
I don't know. More than I'd like to count.
Yeah, okay. And then the next thing, you saw your brother, and he was glaze-eyed because he was a junkie, and you were drunk, and you figured he broke the pact, and so he got in the car, took off, and you talked to another guy, and you guys went off to go get a load. What happened then?
Well, I just want to backtrack one thing.
Okay.
It's kind of the guy that was driving the car tonight went fishing for the duck, Frank.
Right.
A couple weeks ago, I was with him at an international AA convention.
Oh, is that right?
Which is kind of neat. We were talking about.
He remembered the ducks.
Oh yeah, we
remember
you forget the whole story. Well, he was in the hospital. He wasn't fishing for ducks with us. But anyway, I'll get back to the Wyndham Hotel. My brother Tom steps out of the bar.
Right.
Gets in a car, and we looked at each other. No words said. Just looked at each other. He drove away right away. Asked my friend Eddie, "Where can we get a drink?"
Right.
We went to his grandparents' house. I got him out on the front porch, and they were two Irish people to talk with brogues, and I could hardly understand what they were saying to me.
Right.
But I was causing a ruckus on the front porch while he snuck in the back door of their house and stole a fifth of whiskey out of their cabinet. So now we sit behind a Bell Telephone building, and we drink this fifth of, I don't know what it was, Seagram 7 or
something,
whatever. But this fifth of whiskey, we drink it. And the next thing I know, I'm in a blackout, and I come out of this blackout. Now, I'm aware of what blackouts. I always thought blackouts, when I lost my memory, was that I had such a good time. I don't remember what I did last night. Even though near the end of my drinking, I had people saying, you did this last night or you did that. And I was like, nah, not me. I would never do nothing like that. So anyway, I come out of this blackout. There's red and blue lights behind me, and I'm on the Schuylkill Expressway.
Oh, my.
And I'm looking around this car that I'm in. I'm driving.
Did it look familiar?
It looks a little familiar to me. And I realize it's this 68 Rambler that I stole 100 days prior that I went to the rehab.
You stole the same car.
I stole the same car again. Same people's car.
All right.
So I'm driving, and I figure, all right, I got to lose these cops on the Schuylkill.
Good luck.
Good luck, yeah. So I jump off at the Belmont Avenue exit, head up Belmont Avenue, turn into a cemetery.
You head up the hill, so you're at the East Mount Laurel Cemetery.
Yeah, I head into Mount Laurel Cemetery, and I'm driving through the cemetery like a madman. They're chasing me.
This is a big, old cemetery.
Oh, yeah,
it's one of the oldest ones in Philadelphia.
So I jump out, and I run. I get enough lead that I can run. So I run, and the one cop I can see pulling my friend Eddie off of the fence. Now, I don't understand why they put like 10-foot fences around cemeteries.
Yeah, what are they doing?
What do they think? The people are going to break out or something? But, so they're peeling Eddie off the fence in the cemetery.
Keep you out.
Right, to keep you out.
And the cop who was chasing me, he must have had a couple too many donuts. He couldn't catch me.
Oh, fat guy.
As drunk as I was. So I ran all the way in the cemetery, and the fence was like 10 foot high. I couldn't climb over it.
Right.
So I see this trash dumpster there. I guess they throw the dead flowers in or whatever.
Right.
And I jump in and I put the lid down.
Right.
And I'm hiding in there.
Right.
And I can hear this drum beat. I think, who the heck's beating drum? This is like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, right.
I hear this boom, 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 boom. And I realize it's my heart pounding.
Right.
I'm saying, oh, man. I'm thinking about, I'm thinking about here. I've been drinking for 11 days. I'm running from the state police, and I'm hiding in a trash dumpster.
Right.
And I started to pray.
Wait a minute. Let me back up a second. Didn't at some point while you're speeding down the